Howdy partners, and welcome to the Iron Horse Roundup. This episode is going to be a little different as it's the start of a new series I'm going to be doing on this channel. But first, let me explain a bit. Now, as you probably would have guessed, I love all trains of all eras from around the world. Whether it's steam, diesel, electric, or something else entirely. My fascination with trains and railroading covers it all. However, some of you may wonder, what is my favorite time period in railroading? Well, to answer that question, we have to go back in time. Further back than this, further, 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 further again, further past the age of diesels. We're getting there. Almost. Just about. That's more like it. That's right, everyone. Welcome to Railroads of the Old West. My new series dedicated to my favorite time period in not just railroad history, but all of history. The American Old West. A time when American railroads were expanding across the vast frontier west of the Mississippi. A time of gold and silver rushes. A time of cowboys and outlaws. A time when America was changing and growing and expanding. My new series on this epic time period covers it all. In episode 1 of this series, we are going to talk about a special amusement park railroad in Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, California. The theme park founded by Walter Knott in the 1950s. The railroad known as the Ghost Town Calico Railroad, founded in 1952. There's a lot of history to cover about the theme park, but I'll save that for another time as this is solely focused on the Calico and Ghost Town Railroad. This railroad is 3-foot gauge and features 2 steam locomotives, which are 280 consolidation types known as C-19s. Built in the 1880s for the Rio Grande Southern, a narrow gauge railroad operating in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado at that time. This old picture here is what 340 used to look like in the 1800s when it was first built by the Baldwin Locomotive Works. Both 340 and 41 had this appearance back in the day, but today it's much different. Today at Knott's, they retain their 1940s appearance. Now personally, I prefer the early appearance, but hey, I'm not complaining. And I will say, the color green is a nice touch for 340 here. When Walter Knott first got a hold of these locomotives, he made them the appearance of something like an Old West Southern Pacific livery. Gotta say, it looks kinda classy. But today, however, this paint scheme is a thing of the past. Although I would have loved to have seen them look like this. With that all being said and done, let's take a look at these 2 locomotives in action as they circle the loop at Knott's Berry Farm, and even interview the train robbers that rob this train daily for a living. No, I don't mean they rob the passengers. We start in the year 2023, shortly after I'd moved to California. 340 was running the show here at Knott's Berry Farm, while 41 was out in Durango, Colorado being worked on to be returned to service here. Nearby is the Calico Mine Train ride, which I will cover in a future episode.
There's not a rabbit in there, is it? Good, because we don't allow that sort of stuff on this train. Thanks for... What is going on here? You trying to put me on a wanted poster? I know what's going on. Well, it's better to be wanted than unwanted, I guess. So I guess
Is that thing loaded?
Yeah, it's, it's loaded with 15 minutes of 4K video.
4K?
Yes.
I can't even afford 2K. All right. Got 3 rails on that thing showing up right here. Of course, in addition to the locomotives, you've also got an assortment of rolling stock, including an open-air gondola, a stock car, a few box cars, these old passenger cars from the Denver and Rio Grande Western, and of course, the caboose. All built around the same time period as the locomotives here. A year later, number 41 has returned to Knott's from Colorado, and 340 has since gone off to Colorado in place of 41 to be worked on. So how do you boys enjoy robbing the train?
Well, I enjoy it when I make money, so there's not much enjoyment in it. Most people ain't got no money these days, so it's more like attempting to rob the train.
It's true. Attempted robbery is still robbery, but you know, we only rob you of your time, not your money. That's the problem.
Well,
time is money, and we're wasting both at this point.
You see, yeah, most people they carry credit cards these days.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they come from the future where they can actually use them. We don't have the capacity to use credit cards in 1893.
You know? And I don't like transaction records on my robs. You know, I don't want to pay taxes on it. So I prefer my robbing under the table.
Yeah, no paper trail to follow that way.
Exactly.
All right. Noted. What's it like living in the 1890s?
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. You know, I mean, it's not too dusty, not too hot.
Now they finally paved the streets, which is one, you know, we traded one hardship for another. Now we don't have the dirt in our boots, but we're getting the heat flying back up in our faces.
True, yeah.
It's a real shame, honestly.
It could be worse. I mean, you know, we could live in the 1700s, 1600s. Man.
Yeah. I prefer the 1800s myself because that's the golden era of railroading.
Yeah,
and
and we got a railroad, you know, it could be worse. Some towns ain't even got a railroad yet.
That's true.
We're up and coming.
I'm kind of impressed we even got a railroad out this far, you know?
That's called settling the West.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's settled, for sure.
Well and truly. I mean, they're so settled, this train doesn't even go to Denver like it advertises. It just goes in big circles.
And nobody complains.
Not one. No. I feel like we're the only ones who do.
Yeah, well...
Do you guys ever think that you're like the pirates of the Old West, considering that pirates robbed ships in earlier centuries, and you guys robbed trains and stagecoaches and all that, and the...
Well, yeah, maybe, except for, you know, I feel like they, you know, dressed a little nicer than us.
I think they did. I mean, we're not that far removed, though, if you think about it. We got boots, we got hats, we got our sidearm. They step aboard a mass transport vehicle and demand people loot.
That's true.
The only real difference is that it's rails instead of sails.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But they rhyme, so, you know, it's pretty much the same, I guess.
Ain't that the most wish the siren song of the rails has called to us again.
All right.
Now over here, how about y'all? Howdy. Hey, do you have 50 cents? What about 20 cents? 10 cents? No, this is nonsense. Well, I'm afraid you think I'd have common sense, but utterly this is nonsense. That's what I said, utter nonsense. What about you? Why don't you give me 5? Come on, give me 5. You're gonna leave me hanging? Give me 5. He knows the drift way too well. See, this is what happens. Oh, look who it is. You trying to ID me to the sheriff? Not. I know how long it takes to take pictures.
Do you though?
I'm
from the future, remember? This is digital.
Oh, that's right, digital. Yeah. Well, luckily, by the time we get to the future and you're playing that for everybody else, I'll be long dead. So that'll be fine. And so it doesn't matter. You take it to the future. It ain't going to no sheriff that's going to arrest me. See that? Perfect logic. Like the hat, by the way. You're the only person with a sensible hat. I said, well, no.
Well, that does it for my first episode of Railroads of the Old West. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Ghost Town Calico Railroad at Knott's Berry Farm. But before we leave, one of the train robbers has a message for you. But in the meantime, I will see you on the high iron and on the open range. Yee-haw!
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Equestria Iron Horse Roundup. And can you tell my viewers to like and subscribe?
Well, I suppose I could. Hey! You know, I would, but it sounds like the engineer already told you to like and subscribe just based on that whistling. So if you know what's good for you, you'll do that. All right?
All right, sounds good.
No money?
No.
Be a guy when I tell you that. Well, did you enjoy the train ride?
Oh, always. I always enjoy train rides,
That's good.
especially Old West train rides.
I enjoyed it so much, I think I'm going to do it again.
And again.
And again.
And again. And again.